Hello everyone, Christian Hanna Horror here, and today I want to interrupt your regularly scheduled broadcast to do a special review on a movie I just watched called The Vagrant. The Vagrant is a film starring Bill Paxton. Now, Bill Paxton is an actor that a lot of us should know and love, and Bill Paxton is the reason that I actually like Near Dark just a smidge more than the movie Fright Night, which I never thought I would say that, but upon watching Near Dark, he blew me away. So when I was looking on Shout Factory's website of films going out of print, I noticed there was this little movie called The Vagrant. And I will let you guys know right up front, this movie is still available on Scream Factory for a mere $13. And I think it's extremely well worth the price. Now, The Vagrant is an early 90s horror movie, and I actually just did a video talking about early 90s horror. Now, The Vagrant certainly is worthy of being in that list of movies I just had done, and will probably be in a volume 2. But for now, I want to review this movie because it really was awesome. Bill Paxton has a character that is a financial analyst at a big company, and he's trying to move his life forward. He ends up buying this house in this rundown neighborhood, and it's kind of hard to tell if the neighborhood is trying to progressively get better or if it's getting worse. But he ends up buying this house because it's a good price, and he's trying to move forward in life, right? Well, upon getting in this house, he notices what's known as this vagrant outside of the house. Now, this vagrant is disgusting looking. This man is bulging and decrepit, and he looks burnt, and he's got long hair. He looks like he rose out of the grave from a movie like House 2, for instance. And this vagrant is invading this man's house. He's invading Bill Paxton's house at night. He's a disgusting monster that is just nasty to look at, and obviously he was what's known as the vagrant in this movie. So as the movie progresses, you start to wonder, is Bill Paxton really seeing this vagrant as we know, or is it a figment of his imagination? Now, this vagrant has invaded in more ways than one, and the people around Bill are like, what are you talking about? This man, you talking about the homeless guy right there? He's fine. He's not hurting anybody. And Bill's like, no. He's breaking into my house. He's destroying my property. He's hurting people, and you people think it's me that's doing this. As things start to progress, you, the viewer, have to wonder what truly is going on, because just like Bill Paxton in the movie, you start to question, is this vagrant really there? Or is this just a cunning vagrant guy who can elude everybody except Bill Paxton? The movie really plays that line the more and more so as the movie goes on, and does it strikingly well, I thought. Now, the humor in The Vagrant was something I 100% appreciated. As you guys know, I'm a big horror comedy lover. Now, The Vagrant is certainly an emphasis on a horror movie, but the comedy was absolutely great. I thought this movie did something perfect. It knew what type of movie it wanted to be, and it didn't try to do anything above that. Now, The Vagrant is a well-produced movie. I think it's actually a Mel Brooks production, and it's a very well-produced, very well-directed, very well-acted, very well-lit, very well set design. This movie was really great, and the humor on this was, I thought, worked extremely well. It kind of has that Nightmare on Elm Street sequel flavor that I really loved, and it really impressed me. Now, the story keeps developing, and once you think the end is coming, it really just starts what seems to be the next chapter in the character of Bill Paxton's story. This vagrant starts murdering people, and people start pointing the finger at Bill Paxton, and at a certain point, Bill Paxton himself is like, am I doing this? I don't know what's going on. This vagrant is clearly eluding everybody else but me. This is one of those movies that fortunately has that distinction of not having all the best stuff in the beginning. The Vagrant actually impresses me more the more I was continuing to watch the film. It seemed like the story just kept going in places I wasn't expecting, and scenery I certainly wasn't expecting either. This movie starts out in a suburban neighborhood next to a big city and ends up in a New Mexico trailer park. And those are some of the best scenes. The story and the characters completely do a 180 at the second half of this film, and was very refreshing. The Vagrant pulled no punches when it came to going for it. Now, without spoiling the ending, I will say that, in Friday the 13th Part 5, we have moments where somebody jumps and gets pushed off of a high rise and falls into something, like Roy Burns falling into the spike bed at the bottom of the barn. The Vagrant has one of the most hilarious yet painfully looking push-off scenes I've ever seen in a movie, where somebody gets pushed off of a side of a building or side of a walk across and falls into a bed, or falls to their death, basically. This movie did it one way that was completely hilarious yet painful to think about, and I have to give kudos to that. I won't spoil it, but what an ending to The Vagrant. Bill Paxton was absolutely fantastic in this movie. The cast was great. Again, this Mel Brooks production absolutely knew what it was trying to be, and I thought it succeeded very, very well. The Vagrant is I feel like it's some kind of a lost 90s gem that's I should have known about, but unfortunately, I never did. This movie came from 1992, and I feel that if it would have been in the later 80s, it probably would have had a bigger reception, but unfortunately, I just now heard about this film. I'd never seen a review for it or heard anybody mention The Vagrant, and I'm extremely happy that I bought this on Scream Factory for a reduced price right now of $13. The Vagrant is an extremely well-made early 90s horror movie with great characters, some disgusting gore, and funny setups. Now, I give this movie a solid 5 out of 5. I really just loved The Vagrant. Now, this Scream Factory Blu-ray, as I said, it's going out of print, so if you want it, now's the time to go on Scream Factory and get it. It won't last long. The Vagrant starring Bill Paxton. Now, as far as special features go, there's none on here, so, $13 is a fair price for a movie like this, considering you're not getting new interviews or commentaries. But you know what? This is a movie that you're going to want to see for the setups, the gore, the story, the timepiece. It's from the early 90s, and who doesn't love a good early 90s horror film? The Vagrant, guys, check it out. If you haven't seen the film, I highly recommend picking up this Blu-ray. I can't emphasize that enough before it goes completely out of print, as a lot of stuff is probably going to start doing in the next year or so. If you've seen it, please let me know your thoughts on the film. If not, high recommend from your boy CHH.